One thing I've seen you guys do a great job of too. So at a number of races, and the most recent example is Valley of the Sun this year. When you guys were riding in that race, you were extremely vocal, meaning that like you were communicating openly with the team all throughout the race. It was like, and if you were just a fan sitting by the side of the course, you could hear what was going on. And I don't see that happening with a lot of teams. So how do you manage the in-race communication, and what sort of things do you want to call out?
Dude, so first, Valley of the Suns was like such a horrible race for us. It was too many guys. We just had too many guys because it was the beginning of the season. We didn't have a team camp, so we kind of used that as like, let's get everybody together and go do a race. And we just got it totally wrong, man. Like Lance didn't know what lap we were on or something, so he pulled off early. Tyler had to do a full lap pull, and then I was out of shape. So like we came out of the corner, and I had just enough to get Corey up to speed, and then he came by me so fast. I just sat down because I was like, oh my God, if he's going that fast, everyone's going that fast. And then after the race, he's like, dude, you got to sprint to the line. Like you would have got second. And I was like, dude, I wasn't going to get second, I promise. So the communication is extremely important. That's something that has to be taught too, actually. Funny enough, like it's hard to get guys because when your heart rate is at 180 beats per minute, it's hard for you to think about anything. And saying stuff a lot of the time is just taking energy away, and it's going to drive your heart rate a little bit higher. So you got to have the fitness to be able to communicate effectively. We have radios, but the radios aren't always the clearest. So like the best form of communication is when you're next to your guy, you touch him or you let him know you're there, you're right up next to him, and you basically just are bouncing ideas off of each other essentially. You're like, okay, this is what's happening, this is speed we're going. It happens with me and Hunter a lot, just because we know, like Hunter knows the feel of races really well, so we always we find each other like 15 minutes in, and I was like, and we'll be like, yeah, nothing's going anywhere today. And then I just follow him around because he's smooth. And we both have the understanding that, like, all right, there's a pretty good chance that nothing's going to go anywhere. So that communication and knowing where your teammates are, understanding what they're doing, understanding how they're feeling and what they can actually get from you. Like, to me, being a good leader on the team is understanding what kind of day your guys are on, and getting the most out of it, not having this expectation of what you think they should be doing. And then when they can't do it, then you're pissed off, right? No, like that's not what it's about. Winning races is about taking what you have and making a cake out of it.
One point
that's a soundbite, just so you know.
For sure. That's a good clip right there. That was
we got
awesome.
A lot of them already.
Are you ever worried, or do you ever not say things because you're worried about competition hearing it? Or do you value that just the same? Do you want them to hear what you're going to do?
I think it's less about, so when we're in the race, it's less about like what we're going to do. And like typically like with the win, like maybe one or two people will hear it, and that's typically fine. Sometimes I'll say something because someone can hear it. And that kind of throws them off, because if I'm telling Hunter to like, oh yeah, Hunter, like I want you to counter this attack, right? If he counters it, then it's great that someone goes with them, right? The whole peloton's not hearing. It's probably going to be like one or two people. And if they're of sound mind to even do anything about it or go with him, then that's good. Mm-hmm. But typically people aren't, everyone's suffering, right? And like a lot of people haven't learned to suffer and think.
Yeah, it's a skill.
Good point.
So I want to keep stepping into the Legion train, going to the sprint. When you're getting down to those final laps, I think watching your videos, there is a time when you guys do respond, and I hear you yell up, up, up. Yeah. How do you decide in those final laps, when do you actually try to match pace? Like, I think you guys, like, how do you decide when to say up? What are you looking for?
And so up is just it's just like a raising of, it's more of a like pay attention. They know what to do. It means to celebrate, to accelerate. It means someone's coming. So when I yell up, it means like either accelerate. It means either close the corner or it means it's like there's a team coming over us, right? Like typically if it's like one person or two people, I'm not gonna say anything unless we're like going into like the last lap and someone is hitting over the top of us. Like if it's like let's say it's 5 laps to go, 3 laps to go, and there's a team challenging us, then I'll say up because they have to accelerate, right? The thing you do is lose control of the front of the race, lose control of the course. Once you lose control of the course, then your guys get scrambled, right? Because everyone's at different, not only fitness levels, but everyone's also of different skill, right? And like while me and Corey and Scott can pretty much ride next to and through anyone, like Lockwood cannot, Tyler cannot, Hunter can also, so that gives us 4. But those guys, like those bigger guys, more important pieces, they can't ride through people like that. So we have to make sure that we stay in control of the front of the race.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So then you're coming in, let's do a couple scenarios. One is a drag race and another is a corner with, say, you have 200 or 300 meters to go after the corner. Drag race, how do you guys decide when different riders pull off and when to sprint and who's going to sprint?
We have a cheat code. His name is Corey Lockwood. so like in a typical lead out, you'll start, like, people will start their last pulls. In a typical lead out, people will start their last pulls going into like a lap and a half to go, right? Like typically when we're on sidelines, so everyone will start the last pull. Like Hunter used to be one of the first guys. He's still one of the first guys, but he used to be the first guy to go. So his job would be to get the team from the last corner or the second to last corner, going into 1 lap to go to turn 1, right? So that was his job. He would go turn, let's say it's a 4-corner course. He would go turn 3 through turn 4. He would have to go as hard as he can, or he would have to like wind it up out of turn 4, take it through the home straight. He'd take it through the finish line. And when he got to the finish line, he would have to go all out to turn 1 so that the speed is up, right? And then the rest of the lead out train starts. So the next guy has to go faster for shorter. So he has to get us to the back straight. So he has to go through turn 1, or he has to go through turn 1 or right out of turn 1 into the back straight. Then the next guy goes down the back straight. Then the next guy goes into turn 3 because we have to win that corner. It's vital, right? And then it leaves us with two other guys, right? So that guy wins turn 3. He holds on. He tries to get us onto the home straight, and then we have 2 sprinters left. In a drag race situation, like Marietta is a drag race.
Oh, we lose his audio?
Yeah, we lost your audio.
I think we got it again.
I think we got it.
Oh, can't hear us. I want to know what happens.
So much suspense for those that are listening.
Building it up.
I know, for those that are listening to the podcast, Justin just he's fixing his mic right now. So I want to ask too, Nate, about like, because it seems like their job isn't done once they do their poll. Because they like, there's like strategies thereafter too that they do, which is pretty exciting stuff. We actually tried to get a microphone overnighted to Justin, and we couldn't do it in time. So, so darn, it would have solved something like this. On YouTube right now, we have a ton of people that are jumping in and asking a ton of questions, and hopefully all the questions that you're submitting, we'll be able to cover the majority of these. As I'm looking through them, they're more or less representative of what we have in our notes and from a lot of other people that have jumped in on Instagram and submitted questions there too, which is pretty good there. So, so hopefully we can get into asking a lot of them. And Nate, there are a lot of people saying that, of course, you're going to be the one asking questions here because you're going for your Cat 1 upgrade.
Hey, I'm asking it for all you all too, because y'all want to know this too. The exact same information.
We all have the same questions, right?
Yeah, you're just afraid to ask.
That's it. Justin, I think that your mic is working again, or you have a mic working.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay.
It's perfect.
Let me see. Let me make sure that it's still the same mic. Yeah, same mic. All right. Let's try this again.
Okay.
Let's try this again.
So we left off on the finish straight. You have 2 sprinters left, and the whole rotation.
At Marietta, we came out of the last corner. And we had Diego had taken us into turn Diego had taken this into turn 3. It was a short straight from turn 3 to turn 4, so he kind of he could kind of relax. Once you win that corner, he kind of just tries to be smooth on the pedals. He uses the momentum to stay on top of the power, on top of the speed, and then he just got us into turn 4 because he already won turn 3. There was no real space to move between turn 3 and turn 4. We come out of turn 4, and then we have Tyler, we have Corey, and we still have me left. We still have 3 guys. So what happens with Corey Lockwood is that Lockwood is able to ride so fast from like 3 laps to go to 2 laps to go. So instead of having the typical lead out situation where you had Hunter going from like a lap and a half to like turn 1, you have Lockwood going from like 3 laps to go to like 1 lap to go. And then when that happens, like not only does everyone get to rest because he's doing, he'll do like 450, 500, 550, and then he'll pull off. And he'll do that for 2 laps after riding the rotation and taking the bulk of the rotation work from like 15 minutes out. So he'll do 15 minutes leading the front of the team, like taking the biggest chops, and then he'll do a 2-lap pull from 3 laps to go to 1 lap to go, and then our lead out starts. So we usually have 3 sprinters coming out of last corner because Lockwood just takes such a massive pull.
Jeez.
We're going to talk about how to beat you guys later on because right now I can't. I got one idea, but I've seen 2 where I don't know if this is on purpose, but in your videos, do you and Corey ever like work together where one of you will sprint less? I've kind of seen someone try to like take an inside line and maybe one of you like won't sprint as hard then because that person gets stuck.
Yeah.
And the other one comes around. Does that happen? Do you guys do that?
Yeah. So it's just about knowing where people are, like knowing where momentum is taking people. So there's a sprint like a CBR, which is just a local race that we do. And there's this kid, he's like really fast. I think it was Ime. It might have been, there's 2 brothers, Ime and Alma. But they're pretty fast, and they are those in-betweeners where they have like pretty big FTPs, but they also can do like 1,400 watts in the sprint. So there's a sprint that happens where I'm leading Corey out, and I could feel, I think it's Ime coming over my left shoulder, but we're going into a right-hand corner. So like, where are you going to go after you get out of the right-hand corner, left, right? So I hear him coming, so I accelerate just enough to like stop him on my hip. And then we're in the corner, and as we go to the corner, I just like push him out. And there's nowhere for him to go. He has to now wait. And now he's boxed in between me and Corey because Corey understands that I'm going toward the curb. So I'm on the curb now in the gutter, and Corey's next to me. And even if he had any chance of winning, his door just got closed because he didn't get past me before the exit of the corner. Right. So it's all about knowing what your competition is doing, what they're thinking, and how fast you can adjust to kind of those situations, right? Sprinting is not all about top speed, man. Like I always talk about that. Like I have a good max power, but like I try not to just use that for winning races. Like when you can start to think out sprints and understand what's happening, you become way more effective, and your like percentage of winning goes up way more.
That's awesome. I think I don't know if there's most teams would just be like, let's all sprint as hard as we can, and then you might drag other people to the line. I saw it too when you guys did a video with CYCLIST where Jeff Linder was on Corey's wheel, and Corey just sat up, and that ruined Jeff's sprint. Did he do that on purpose?
Yeah.
Can you explain that outcome too? Because that's super interesting.
So Corey we talked about it a little bit. So Corey was very conscious of where Tyler was. And this is the kind of thing that's going on in our head. We're in NorCal. Tyler's from NorCal. So we were going to work for him. Corey, out of the last corner, we had talked it throughout the race. I went like, oh, okay, like this corner, you got to win this corner. If you win this corner, that's a little bit far to the line. But Corey had just had a very good idea of where Tyler was and the momentum that he was coming with. So funny enough, they had caught Tyler maybe like a K before the finish. He was off the front. And when they came out of last corner, no one went hard enough. And Corey looked back, I guess, I don't know, maybe psychic, and he knew Tyler was coming with momentum, and he was like, it's like an uphill sprint. So he's like, no one's gonna beat Tyler in this sprint. So Corey set up because he said Tyler had so much momentum. He could see and feel that Tyler had so much momentum that like if he would have went, he would have just drugged the group that he was in the front of that race up to speed, right? And then he was
Yes.
like, and like maybe I would have won, but like the momentum that Tyler was coming with, I was for sure he was gonna win.
Yeah.
So it's like that teamwork where he's like, I'll let Tyler go past, and then like hopefully he wins, and if he doesn't, I'll try to clean up, right?
Yeah. That's such a cool. I just want to make sure everyone understands that Corey could have tried to sprint for second or winning, but then he could have brought other people with him because Tyler was in such a great position. He sat up and effectively killed other people's race behind him.
Chances, yeah.
Yeah.
He
So
basically
you're,
closed everyone's door that was behind him, and like expecting like, oh, Corey's a sprinter, he's gonna go for it. I'm gonna sit behind him. It's like that. Um, it's like they never would have thought that he would have like not sprinted, so his teammate could have won, right? And it's like I think that's where we do that really well, is that we're like all for the team. It's like all about the team. Like we're trying to win. We win. Me and Corey win a lot of races because we're the ones that the races suit more often than not. But like there's so many examples of like same thing in with San Rafael last year. San Rafael last year, me and Corey are in the field. We have 4 guys in the breakaway, and people are still like, "You guys gonna chase?"
No.
And we're like, no, we're not gonna chase, man. What's wrong with you guys? We have 4 people in the break. Our whole team is in the breakaway.
I want to go, before we switch gears, I want to do one more scenario. It's a corner and it's a very short sprint after that. And what I've seen you do is you leave a gap. Like you'll leave a gap on somebody else.
Yeah.
Why do you do that?
Hold on.
Justin's fixing his setup again.
Well, it's one thing if my mic dies. It's another thing if my computer dies. I leave that gap. It's from the track. So on the track, momentum is everything, right? Like your gearing doesn't change. So if you get the sprint wrong, there's like it's over. There's a couple little like tricks that you can use to kind of use momentum. Cycling is all about momentum. Sprinting is all about momentum. So what the gap does is it does 2 things. It allows me to, when someone like say we're in a sprint, right? And I come out of a corner, I'll leave a gap. It allows me room to sprint into the draft and get that little bit extra acceleration because I'm in the draft, and then move to a side of whatever the person is in front of me. It allows for me to, we talked about blocking people in and like that, getting boxed in. It allows for you to not be boxed in, right? So if you have that gap, if someone comes up next to you, if you feel someone coming up next to you, you can accelerate again into the draft and then move out. You have space, right? So having that gap is about controlling your own destiny. It's about putting yourself in a position where you're A, not getting boxed in, and B, you get to shoot into a draft, which gives you another like, on your acceleration, gives you another 30% into that draft, and then you can move to a side before you can step out. It hurts my heart. I'm telling you, it hurts my soul when I see people like step out into the wind, like you're like riding and you like step out into the wind and then you start sprinting. You're like, like it's
Don't watch my race videos then. You'll die of a broken heart.
I have one that's worse where I went out and then I went back in.
And that happens. There's races that I haven't been the fastest person in the sprint. I just used the draft right, used the momentum right, and that allowed me to get a win or a better result, right? So it's about learning how to use that draft and safely, right? Like I'm not like swinging out on people while I'm in the draft, but the gap is literally so that I'm not gonna crash, right? Because I'm looking at everything that's happening around me. I'm looking back, so that gap gives me space to like look back and not make, not fall over the wheel. It allows me to run into a draft if someone decides to try to box me in, and then that in turn gives me a little bit of extra energy and makes my speed greater when I do hit the wind. So I'm carrying momentum.
If you like this video, you should subscribe to our channel. Maybe even give this video a like with a thumbs up and a comment down below.
If you want to see race analysis videos, you can click on it right over here. And if you want to get your coaching questions answered, you can click on it right over here.
And if you want to become a faster cyclist, which you should go over to TrainerRoad.com. It'll make you faster. We promise. We guarantee it, right, Nate?
Guaranteed. Or your money back.
Yes, it's true, actually. We really will do that.
Yeah.